You can feel it, right? There's this storm brewing around AI. What started out as maybe a little skepticism has just exploded into a full-blown backlash. And it feels like we've officially hit a tipping point.
And just look at this. This isn't some random comment lost in the ether. This is a tweet with 200,000 likes. I mean, wow, this one sentence perfectly captures this really intense, visceral feeling that has gone completely mainstream.
So that's the bottom line here. The public mood has done a complete 180. This is not a fringe opinion anymore. It's become a massive tidal wave of public sentiment, and frankly, it's getting impossible to ignore.
All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to break down how we got to this tipping point. Then we'll dig into the 3 core fears that are really driving all this anger. After that, we'll look at a perfect case study, this firestorm around Mark Cuban, and see the social fallout. And finally, we'll ask, what kind of story could possibly fix this?
You know, the story of this AI backlash is so much more complicated than just a few angry tweets. It runs deep. What we're seeing is this fundamental disconnect between the folks building the tech, who see it as this amazing tool for progress, and the public, who are looking at it with more and more suspicion and, honestly, fear.
So what do we even mean when we say AI backlash? Well, it's this growing belief that AI is somehow 2 things at once. A nothing burger, totally overhyped and underwhelming, but also a force that is actively destroying society. And it's that contradiction, that weird paradox, that's fueling so much of the frustration.
And look, this rage isn't just coming out of nowhere. It's being powered by 3 really specific, really powerful fears that have all been building up to this moment. So, the 3 big pillars of this backlash really come down to this. First, this feeling that AI is being forced on us. Second, the very real, very scary fear of mass job loss. And third, this deep, simmering anger over what many people see as just straight-up creative theft on an industrial scale.
Let's start with that first one, forced integration. People feel like AI isn't a choice anymore. It's just being shoved down our throats. I mean, think about Microsoft suddenly adding Copilot everywhere in Windows, or Twitter rolling out an AI edit image button that, let's be honest, nobody asked for. It just feels like these companies are chasing profits, not actually trying to help users.
Okay, the second fear is job annihilation. And this quote from the CEO of Khan Academy is, well, it's chilling. He said, AI will displace workers on a scale that most people don't yet realize. And we're not just talking about a few jobs here and there. We're talking about warehouse work, trucking, even software engineering. It's huge. And that brings us to the third one, creative theft. This is an especially raw nerve for artists, for writers, for creatives. The feeling is that these AI image generators are trained on the stolen work of thousands of artists, without permission, without compensation, just to churn out what many are calling mindless slop. It feels like it devalues the entire concept of human creativity and skill. And if you want to see all of this frustration just boil over in one place, you have to look at the firestorm that erupted around a single tweet from billionaire Mark Cuban. I mean, it is the perfect case study of this whole conflict. So, Cuban tweeted that creators should love AI. He said it makes them exponentially more creative, that it breaks down barriers for people. And, on the surface, that sounds pretty optimistic. The problem is he completely sidestepped the actual issues people are screaming about. And the response was just staggering. Look at the numbers. Cuban's tweet got about 2,000 likes, but the replies calling him out, 7,000, 10,000, nearly 30,000 likes on one reply. It just perfectly shows this massive gulf between his worldview and the public's. This reply right here just cuts straight to the heart of it. Read the room, Mark. It reframes the whole debate. It's not just about AI anymore. It's a class thing. It's about the rich and powerful with their business minds just not getting the passion and the soul that creative minds pour into their work. And then there's this one with almost 30,000 likes, asking, serious question, artist to billionaire, are you really this out of touch? It's such a powerful, direct challenge. It basically asks if someone so far removed from the day-to-day struggle can even begin to understand what working artists are afraid of losing. So yeah, the Mark Cuban thing was a big moment, but it's really just a symptom of a much deeper rift that's starting to have some very real social and political consequences. And we've got the data to prove it. A Pew Research poll shows just how negative Americans are feeling.
More than half, 53%, think AI will hurt our ability to be creative. And 50% think it's going to damage our ability to have meaningful relationships. Those are huge numbers.
The fallout has gotten so bad that it's actually creating this chilling effect. We're hearing reports that some big-name AI CEOs have just vanished from the public eye. They've canceled appearances because the backlash has just become too hostile, too intense. And this toxicity has even infected our politics. The term AI itself has become so unpopular that apparently some Republican senators are literally afraid to even say the words, because the second they do, their poll numbers drop. I mean, think about that. How do you form a national strategy when the topic itself is taboo? So, with this giant disconnect and all this growing anger, it really boils down to one question, right? Where on earth do we go from here? Is there any way to fix this? Well, the one thing pretty much all the critics agree on is that Silicon Valley has completely failed to read the room. The whole rollout has just felt messy, greedy, and really dismissive of people's concerns. And that gap between the builders and the public, it's just getting wider every day. This quote from 𝗙𝗏𝗆𝗃 just sums it all up perfectly. He says, "We need a better story. People do not care about competition with China when they can't afford a house. The story has to connect to real people's real problems. It's as simple as that." So let's just recap the big takeaways. The AI rollout has been seen as chaotic and driven by greed. To have any chance of moving forward, these companies have to start taking responsibility for the negative impacts of their tech. Because if they don't, this dangerous divide between the tech world and, well, everyone else is only going to get worse.
And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. When you're faced with fears about your job, about creativity, and this deep distrust of the people in charge, what kind of story about AI's future could possibly be convincing? Seriously, what story would you believe?